Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please email me directly for pricing. Reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the 2020 reinvention of a model first launched in 1985. Based on the 1980s design by Gerald Genta, this is the Cartier Pasha de Cartier skeleton. 41 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel, the watch is 10.2 millimeters thick and 48.1 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It features those characteristic hinged Vendome lugs, and the watch has a fun sort of urban legend associated with it that it's based on a design created for the Pasha of Marrakesh in the 1930s. Could it be true? Maybe obliquely, but the fact is this is a modernized Gerald Genta design, which should give it all the pedigree necessary to a watch connoisseur. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can note that the watch is very flat. It will wear well as a dress watch. It's also narrow across the wrist with wonderfully hinged lugs, so I recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Easy to wear with a tight cuff. You can see the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist on either side, and it really is a nice fitting watch that looks as good as it feels, and it feels great. That said, it's also highly tailorable. You can see that there is a little trigger. See those little striations? That is a switch that you flip to detach the bracelet from the case. The watch comes with an accessory strap, and the idea is that you can pop off the bracelet, pop off the strap, and swap between them. Cartier has other options available, so you'll have many choices to change the look and character of your watch. Of course, this is what they call the quick switch system, first debuted on the Santos de Cartier 3 years ago. The watch also includes the Smart Link that was on the Santos, so you can see there are little bars retaining some of these removable links, and then you can just barely see. It is very hard to discern, but there are these subtle cutouts in the case back, and they work like switches. You press them, and then the spring-loaded bars pop out of the links, allowing you to size the bracelet using nothing but your fingernail. It is very impressive. First, because the tolerances are so tight. Second, because it works. And third, because in the hand, it feels as solid as a bracelet assembled by screws, not a bunch of spring-loaded micro components. Very impressive stuff. You'll note the bracelet has a very, very faint taper. It has plenty of gaps to vent the wrist on a hot day. Polished intermediates and satin primaries, and you can see in profile it's a little bit oval. We have a clasp that is a twin trigger release, so it can't pop open accidentally. And you can see that it folds two ways, which is better for a small wrist because a single fold sometimes pinches a small wrist when a bracelet is sized down tight. The case band is of satin finish. The bezel has a small vertical portion and then a conical portion before it jumps up one more time vertically where it abuts the sapphire. The case back is also polished and somewhat inset, so the watch looks even thinner than it is on the wrist. We have these little steel polished cabochons on the end of the lugs, and then the real thing, a synthetic sapphire cabochon on a canteen crown, and I will demonstrate how this works. The canteen crown is one of those design elements that is in fact drawn from antiquity, and a number of watches from those utilitarian civilian market choices of the 30s and 40s to military issue pieces would have used this idea of a crown on top of a crown, one whose sole purpose is water resistance, and then the other one, which is inboard, whose purpose is to actually wind and set the watch. Now, this is an automatic winder, so you don't have to worry about constantly energizing this one, but in a improvement from previous versions, Cartier has installed a double-rolled micro knurling on this crown, so it's actually easier to grip, and you can see it has a little synthetic sapphire cabochon on its face, just as there is a large synthetic sapphire outboard. This is new for the latest generation of Pasha. Now the dial is open with Arabic numerals, unusual for Cartier. At the quarters we have 12, 3, 6, and 9 in a vintage open 6, open 9 font. We have a sort of metal railroad track at center for reading your minutes, and then we have broadsword hands in blue. You can also see the motion works, which deals with the clutching of the crown, the setting and the winding, and then the position of the hands, the motion works at center below the hands. You can see the escapement from the dial side, which is fun because your watch looks alive despite not having a seconds hand, and then we'll flip it all over. In fact, see if I have enough nail to remove these lugs for you. There we go. So you can see this watch is still exceptionally fresh, as some of the original packing stickers are still present on the back. This is the manufacturer caliber MC9624. It's an automatic winder with ceramic rotor bearings and a 48-hour power reserve. Beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and as you can see, it pivots on 28 joules. And while the finishing is by machine, the execution is among the best I've ever seen for machine finish. The bevels are genuinely mirrored. The black polished screws are handsome and consistent. All of the wheels are silvered and satinated, and then there's a lovely rayon, or sort of sunburst deep graining across the bridges that perfectly aligns from separate bridge component to component. You can see the rotor has been skeletonized. We have a little Cartier C over on the 9 o'clock side on the reverse, and it is beautifully made. Again, a machine finished product, but one of the most handsome that you will encounter. And again, all of this water resistant down to 30 meters, so it's more of a sporty watch than a sports watch, but a handsome and versatile option for him or for her from a famous designer and a legendary brand. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.